Hello and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Eric Ham coming to you from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where in just a few hours, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump will face off for the first and perhaps only presidential debate of this election season. We'll take you through it all and the latest political storylines that we expect to see from this debate. But first, a look at the latest headlines. An Israeli airstrike on a humanitarian zone kills at least 40 and wounds over 60 Palestinians in central Gaza. Israel says it struck a Hamas command center that was embedded in the humanitarian zone. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrives in the United Kingdom and meets British Prime Minister Keir Starmer to discuss the war in Ukraine as well as the rising tensions in the Middle East. American and Chinese military commanders meet to address the rising rivalry in the Indo-Pacific region. This as Washington accuses Beijing of dangerous behavior in the South China Sea. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un announces an exponential increase in the country's nuclear weapons arsenal. The rogue dictator blames the United States for igniting a nuclear arms race. And Belize becomes the second nation to send troops to the Caribbean nation of Haiti. An unspecified number of officers from Belize joined 400 Kenyan troops in Port-au-Prince as part of the international peacekeeping mission against armed gangs. We begin right here in Philadelphia, which has become the heart of the U.S. political epicenter. Tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are all set to face off at the National Constitution Center. The candidates who have never met or even spoken to one another will make their case to the American people in what could be the defining moment over the remaining 56 days left in a race that's already seen massive twists and turns. The 90-minute debate will be hosted by ABC News, with millions of Americans watching what could be the only debate between the two political rivals.
Generally, I think it's going to be interesting to watch. I'm interested to hear what both individuals have to say. I haven't swayed who I'm going to vote for, but I still want to hear what all parties have to say, though.
Well, I'm so excited for the debate in Philly. This is where I live and work, so I love it so much. And it's split 50-50. This debate is really tight, and they're both very strong candidates. But I am so over, the nastiness of, Trump and everything. I'm just looking forward to Harris's view on creating more peace. I'm a victim of gun violence, so I stand for all what she has to say on that topic of gun violence and violence in general.
Now the showdown comes just days after the New York Times Siena poll found that the ex-president is clinging to a 1-point lead. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is leading in multiple polls. In fact, a new poll out just last night showed her leading in North Carolina. No Democrat has won North Carolina since Barack Obama did so back in 2008. Still, states like Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia are up for grabs. But perhaps the biggest prize of this election cycle is right here in Pennsylvania, with each candidate expending enormous resources to secure victory here. Meanwhile, reports say instead of brushing up on policy, Donald Trump has been fine-tuning the theatrics of his performance for the debate, whereas Kamala Harris has spent the past week refining her views on policy. The vice president has been doing mock debates with her top advisors playing the role of Donald Trump. Just last week, the former president mocked Kamala Harris, claiming MAGA supporters were disturbing her practice sessions. Now, the debate rules for tonight for both candidates will be the same as in June. There will be no live audience, and each candidate's microphone will be muted while the other is speaking. Each presidential nominee will have 2 minutes to answer the moderator's question, while the other candidate will respond in under a minute. Now, going into the debate, issues such as abortion, immigration, the economy, inflation, and democracy remain top priorities for voters. The moderators are likely to add questions on crime, including gun violence and personal character. Now, this will be Donald Trump's 7th appearance on the presidential debate stage, and Kamala Harris's first. It's also important to note Harris has not had a debate since 2020. And while Donald Trump certainly loves the attention, even craves it. Tonight, much of the focus will be on his rival as she continues her push to make history as the first woman president of the United States. Staying with the race for the White House, Donald Trump's running mate J.D. Vance has dived face first into a racist conspiracy theory once again. In a post that's garnered more than 8 million views on social media platform X, Vance promoted false claims that Haitian immigrants in Ohio are killing and eating family pets. Recently, the Ohio senator and other Republicans have been asserting that thousands of immigrants from Haiti have created chaos in the city of Springfield. Now, this bizarre idea stems from a Springfield Facebook group post which claimed that a local resident's missing cat was allegedly found hanging at a Haitian neighbor's home, and it was being prepared to be eaten. On Monday, social media platforms were filled with claims of Haitians not just eating cats, but also ducks and geese as well. A Trump campaign account on X said the former president will deport migrants who eat pets if he is reelected to the White House. Meanwhile, Texas Senator Ted Cruz posted a meme showing 2 kittens and the text overlaid that read, "Please vote for Trump so Haitian immigrants don't eat us." However, Ohio police have denied these claims, saying they have received no credible reports of immigrants harming pets. Authorities further said there have been no verified instances of migrants creating chaos in the Ohio city. Now, this is not the first time that the vice presidential nominee has launched into wild and outlandish stories without any evidence. He once claimed that Democrats believe they can altogether replace native-born Americans. He even went so far as to suggest that Vice President Kamala Harris would give every undocumented migrant the right to vote and destroy Americans in their own country. And now shifting to the war in Europe. Ukraine appears to be using a fleet of drones that are capable of dropping molten metal on Russian troops on the front lines. The fire-spewing Dragon drones can be seen dropping a hot mixture of aluminum powder and iron oxide called thermite, which burns at temperatures up to 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Thermite can quickly burn through metal and vegetation and can seriously wound Russian troops and even kill. The chemical was first discovered in Germany in the late 19th century and was extensively used during both world wars. Now, under international law, thermite is not banned for military combat, but using it on civilian populations is considered a war crime. Ukraine has resorted to using these Dragon drones as it remains both outmanned and outgunned by Russia on the battlefield. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky continues to seek more support from Western allies to fight Vladimir Putin's forces.
The defense minister of Ukraine, Umerov, delivered a report on the outcome of the Ramstein meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group last week and his negotiations with partners. All agreements reached must be implemented as quickly as possible. What is needed in September must be delivered to our troops in September.
Meanwhile, apart from using the Dragon drones on the battlefield, Ukraine continues to strike deep inside Russia with long-range kamikaze drones. Kyiv has successfully carried out an overnight drone strike on Russia's capital, Moscow, and hit several residential buildings.
It was 4 in the morning. I heard the propeller. I opened the curtain and it hit the building right before my eyes. I saw it all. I took my family and we ran outside. That's about it.
Now, the use of thermite-spewing drones in Ukraine is Ukraine's answer to Russia's incendiary weapons that were used in Bakhmut. However, military experts say it won't be a game changer on the battlefield. Analysts say Kyiv will have to pull off more surprise incursions into Russian territory like the one in Kursk back in August. As President Zelensky awaits clearance from NATO allies to use Western-made weapons to strike deeper into Russia, Ukrainian troops look to continue using the Dragon drones to keep up the pressure on the invading Russian forces. And staying in Europe, Hungary is taking its defiance of the European Union to a whole new level. Prime Minister Viktor Orban has threatened to send a busload of migrants on a one-way journey to Brussels in retaliation for a massive fine imposed by EU's top court. The conflict over borders, immigration, and the rule of law is heating up, putting European unity to the test. Here's our latest report with more.
A brewing showdown between Hungary and the EU is reaching a breaking point, with migration policy and the rule of law at the center of the conflict. Hungary's defiant plan is to send migrants to Brussels on a bus. This is in response to a €200 million or $220 million fine imposed by the European Court of Justice.
This type of activity is not recognized by the European Union, but we are attacked for it. The EU does not compensate Hungary financially, but wants to force Hungary to abandon its border protection by giving us a hefty fine for something which is nothing more than compliance with laws of the European Union and Hungary.
Hungary is furious over the fine for violating EU's asylum rights and has threatened to send migrants directly to the Belgian capital.
If Brussels continues to want to force a regulation on Hungary that does not make it possible to detain migrants at the border, then we are going to offer every migrant on the Hungarian border voluntary transport to Brussels free of charge. If Brussels wants migrants, then it can have them. The goal is for migrants not to come to the member states. But the Hungarian government is ready to provide a one-way ticket to everyone who arrives at the Hungarian border if the European Union, the European Commission, and the European Court of Justice make it impossible to stop migration at the external border, as Hungary did in an exemplary manner over the previous decade.
In response to Hungary's claims, Belgium's Foreign Minister Hadja Labib called the plan a provocation that contradicts European obligations, stressing that migration must be handled collectively and responsibly by all member states. Nicole de Moor, who's Belgium's State Secretary for Asylum and Migration, went further, vowing to block any such buses at the border and urging a strong European Commission response. And Brussels Mayor Philippe Clos also echoed his outrage, demanding that Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo take action to prevent Hungary from executing its plan. However, this conflict has a long history. Apart from stemming from the ECJ's ruling, which slapped a lump sum fine in June, the court has also found Hungary guilty of severely breaching EU asylum laws and imposed an additional €1 million, which is over $1 million for each day, if the violation persists. To this, the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán reacted furiously, calling the court's decision outrageous and unacceptable. Tensions escalated when Orbán's government publicly unveiled buses marked Roske Brussels. Hungary's State Secretary declared, if Brussels wants illegal migrants, Brussels can have them.
If the European Union, Brussels, wants to force Hungary to let in the illegal migrants, those we have stopped so far 1 million times at Hungary's southern border, then Hungary, after the implementation of the European procedure, will offer these illegal migrants a voluntary, free of charge, one-way ticket to Brussels. If Brussels wants illegal migrants, Brussels can get them.
So, as the standoff intensifies, Hungary's defiance puts Brussels in a difficult position, raising questions about the EU's ability to enforce its rules across all member states. With no clear resolution in sight, the conflict threatens to become a broader challenge to the EU's migration policies and the rule of law.
And finally, Saturn, the crown jewel of our solar system, is about to pull off a celestial disappearing act. Its iconic ring, stretching 175,000 miles, will soon vanish from view as Earth and Saturn align for a rare astronomical event. It's a cosmic illusion that happens once every 13 to 16 years, with the next one in March of next year. What causes this mesmerizing spectacle, and why is it so important to scientists? Our final report gets you all the details.
In the vastness of space, Saturn's majestic rings shimmer like a cosmic crown. But soon, the universe is about to play a grunt trick on all stargazers. In March 2025, Saturn will be ready for its vanishing act. The iconic rings of Saturn, the ones that stretch over 175,000 miles, will disappear. But don't worry, Saturn's rings won't actually vanish. they will still be there hiding in plain sight. What is happening is one of the universe's coolest optical illusions. The Earth and Saturn are aligning in such a way that we are seeing Saturn's rings edge on, and when Saturn will position the rings on a perfectly horizontal plane to our vantage point, the rings will reflect almost no light, turning into an invisible line. For astronomers, this phenomena is not new. In fact, it happens every 13 to 16 years. The last time the rings disappeared like this was back in 2009. And now it's happening again, and stargazers have until March 2025 to catch the final glimpse before Saturn's rings vanish completely. So while ring plane crossings are rare, they are scientifically invaluable. Over centuries, astronomers have used these events to uncover some of Saturn's most intriguing secrets. The famous moons Titan, Enceladus and Mimas were discovered during past crossings. Even Saturn's outermost E-ring was spotted for the first time during a crossing in 1966. And even though Saturn's rings are made of billions of icy chunks, remnants of comets, asteroids and shattered moons, they tend to look like massive, but they are surprisingly thin, less than the length of a football field. If you shrank Saturn down to the size of a basketball, the thickness of its rings would be 1/250th the thickness of a human hair. That's why when viewed edge-on, they become practically invisible. While this celestial disappearing act is a sight to behold, it won't last forever. Saturn's rings, as beautiful as they are slowly fading. A process known as ring rain is causing them to fall into the planet bit by bit. NASA scientists estimate that the rings are losing up to 6,300 pounds of ice every second. But don't worry, at this rate, Saturn's rings will stick around for at least another 15 million years. So get your telescopes ready. March 2025 is your chance to witness one of the universe's most fascinating tricks. Saturn's rings will disappear before your very eyes, only to reappear months later. And who knows, maybe during this ring plane crossing, we'll discover something new hidden in the shadows of Saturn's mysterious rings.
That's our show for today. We certainly thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you right back here again tomorrow. Thanks again for watching.
Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual on Firstpost, where we get you the top 50 stories from around the world. I'm Alison Lagrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin. In our top stories today, Ukraine fired over 140 drones at Russia over